Well, hey everybody, welcome to the Wealthy Legacy Journey podcast. You can see I'm running solo this week, but that's totally okay because in life and business, sometimes things go a little bit in a way you wouldn't expect, and you still have to roll forward. You still have to maintain your commitments. And one of my commitments is putting out this podcast every week. So I'm going to make sure that that happens. So I'm really excited to be with you guys. I'm excited to talk today. We're going to be talking leading off of last week. We talked about defining your offer bullseye and how important that is. This week, I am going to talk about that in a little bit deeper way. And I'm going to introduce you guys to something that's very powerful for me in my life and my business. And I call it the 10 bunny method. It's going to completely change the way that you look at defining your business. So let me break down where that name even comes from, though. So, my wife, being a mom, had two kids. She wanted to be more than a mom. And so I'm a huge dreamer. I always blow things up way bigger than they necessarily have to be. And so when my wife wanted to get bunnies, wanted to start a rabbitry, she wanted to start off with two bunnies. And so I cleared out the shed. I made room for all the cages. I set everything up, the runs, everything was like ready to go. And after measuring everything out, I was like, babe, there's enough room in here that we could put 12 rabbits. And if you have $2, I think I said $1 or $2, and the rest were does. And we did all the math. And I was like, they had two, litters a year to be nice to them, and all this and that. And I was like breaking it all down. I was like, here's how much money you can make. Like you could make car payments. You can make your car payments. You could give to whatever ministry you wanted to. Like there's all these opportunities that could open up for you. And all of a sudden it was like, boom, big thing. And over time, it proved to be too much uh, responsibility on our family, on my wife, who's cooking, cleaning, just brought a third baby home very recently, and changing diapers, because we have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old and a newborn at this point. And so basically what we ended up doing is we backed off from 10 bunnies to then having 3. And the goal was to go down to 2. We ended up with 3. And she got to end up, though, with her favorite rabbits. And that's really the powerful thing in defining the who, the what, the when, the where, the why inside of your business, is sometimes you just have to jump out there and try a whole bunch of stuff. So last week's example was all about this like ice business, right? And we kind of compared, you have one person who just says, I want to sell cold things, and they just try to sell every cold thing that they can, versus somebody else who says, I want to sell cold things, I want to sell ice. And they broke it all the way down to where they said, I want to sell 1-inch ice cubes with 3 drops of electrolyte made of purified water to men between the ages of 25 and 50 who work in construction. And so it was like this very dialed in offer versus this like very broad offer. But I understand, and I've been in this place multiple times in my business and my wealthy legacy journey, where, to be honest, I don't know exactly what I want to do. There's many times I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, who I wanted to serve. And there was just so many unknowns around that it would have been really hard for me to like definitely sit here and define who's my who, what am I going to sell, when am I going to sell, where am I going to sell, why am I going to sell, all this kind of stuff. And so that's what brings me back to this 10 bunny method is, the blessing in disguise of me pushing my wife to we ended up with 10 rabbits, was that she got to experience a whole lot of personality types within rabbits. She got to very quickly breed 1 litter of rabbits and try that out, make sure she liked this. But then she got to keep the rabbits that she enjoyed the most. And if she had only gotten 2 rabbits out of the gate, the 2 or 3 that she ended up keeping, I think one of them was in that initial like 2 or 3 that she wanted. And the rest of them actually were purchased later from me, pushing her, hey, since you don't really know exactly what you're looking for, go ahead and buy a whole bunch of rabbits. And so what I would say is sometimes if you don't know exactly what you're wanting to do, try a whole bunch of things. Now, you're never going to be able to reach that next level until you focus in, you dial in your offer, you figure out what you're really, really excited about, and you take that all the way. So, for me, when I first got into real estate, the first thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to wholesale. But through a turn of events, I ended up picking up a fix and flip in the hood. And that was a really exciting thing. Not something I'd want to do twice. But, you know, a lot of times in the beginning of business, we do things that we wouldn't want to try twice. And ask anybody who has been in business for a while, like some of the things that they did at the very beginning, would they want to do that again? You know, they'd probably say, I love it for what it gave me, for the lessons that I learned out of it, but I wouldn't want to have to go through that pain, that difficulty, and that trial again. Right. So that was the flip for me. Then after that, I was like, okay, you know, flips in the hood, not my thing. I'm going to try this multi-room rental thing. So I ended up buying a duplex in Arlington. It seemed like it was going to be the perfect deal. I was going to rent out each room on each side. It was a 3-2-3-1. So it was a 3-1 on both sides. It was very close to the college campus. And I ended up keeping like 4 or 5 of the rooms rented at all times. It was really good. But the problem is I was paying a hard money loan, 12% interest on it. And so I struggled to ever get ahead. Like, you know, if it had like 5 rooms, if I had all 6 rooms full, I think I would make like $200-300 a month. But a lot of times, no, that's what I'd make. Like if I had all 6 rooms full, both of the 3s full, I would make, what was it? I think I'd make like $400 a month. But if one of those rooms was full, I'd make, depending on which room, because each room was priced differently, I'd make somewhere between like 100 and like $50, 50 and $100. And if I had only 4 of those rooms full, then I was losing money. And so a lot of times we teeter between like 4 and 5 of those rooms being full. There was only a few times where I ended up with all 6 rooms full. And so it put me in just this really bad position. And it was mainly because of the really high interest rates that I was paying, that I ended up with a property that I struggled to ever get ahead. And see, whenever I first bought it, I thought I was a hotshot investor. I had done my first flip. So I went, I bought it. I didn't talk to my wife, but I just thought, hey, we'll move into one side of this duplex. You know, we'll have the college students on the other side of the duplex. I call my wife, you know, my wife's trying to get a hold of me after work, can't get a hold of me, can't get a hold of me. Phone's about to die. I end up answering the phone. I was like, hey, babe, I can't talk. I just bought a house. I'll talk to you later. Boom, hang up the phone. And she says, later on, she tells me when she heard that side of the story, she was like, what the heck did I just hear? Because here we are, broke, you know, struggling just to pay our bills, and I'm buying a duplex. And it wasn't super family friendly. We're wanting to have a family. I can't remember if she was pregnant or not at that time. I think she was, actually. And so we didn't end up moving into the duplex and, you know, house hacking. And so there was another bust. After that, I circled back around to wholesaling and tried wholesaling. And in that situation, you know, I thought if I did this by myself, there was a good opportunity to be able to make like 40 grand. And I needed that money. You know, the flip hadn't gone well. We almost lost money on that. We barely made anything on it. The duplex had been losing money. And so I had this wholesale deal. I was trying to push it through. I was trying to make that 40 grand just to give some breathing room. I ended up having somebody come along. He would have helped me move it. I would have made, I think it was like 10 grand on the deal, which looking back, 10,000 on a wholesale fee, you know, especially on like a double close, that's great. Partnering with people, that's amazing, right? But I thought I could do better, ended up trying to do it myself, and the whole deal fell apart because I really had no idea what I was doing at all. And then I circled back to flips, and I partnered up on flips, but and then it went really well. And then I did a lot of other things. But what I wanted to point out in that is, first I tried flipping solo, and then I tried house hacking solo, and then I tried wholesaling solo, and then I did flipping with a partner. And that's where I finally had my big break, right? And I started flipping houses, and it was working. And I was working with Nathan, and you know, he did the real estate stuff, I did the construction stuff. We started making really good money, like best money I've ever made in my life. Because I don't know if you don't know, I don't have a college degree. So like basically my options were construction, which is kind of like my whole family's blue collar in construction. I didn't want to do that my whole life. Sales or entrepreneur, which, you know, most entrepreneurs are sales guys. So it kind of falls into that same category. And so I wanted to go down that path of being an entrepreneur. And, you know, that led me to doing the flips with Nathan, and that was great. And then from there, I wanted to continue going to the next level. And so I did some online marketing stuff with Ronson Bronson, ClickFunnels community. That was great. After that, I came into the idea of stock market algorithms. And we actually have a company right now that we are launching. We're actually building phase 1 of the fund right now. I sent out my first text on that today, which I'm super excited about. So our first phase is going to be $100,000. And last month on paper trading, which we've been building this for almost 2 years now. Last month on paper trading, we made like 27%. What the heck? This week alone, first month of July, we made 2%, which obviously wasn't as great as 27% in a single month, but that was an okay week. If we can have some really solid weeks, we can get up there. We're just saying, hey, we'd be excited if we can make 10% a month, right? So to hit 27%, we're like, heck yes. So I think that's going to be one of the biggest things that I'm working on right now. I also have NK Legacy Properties, which I'm working on with Nathan, which is exciting. We're doing some really cool stuff in like the land development space, and I'm excited about what we're working on there. Long term, I think there's great wealth building opportunities and like rentals and holds, and I love the idea of like getting into developing, for like maybe multifamily neighborhoods where I can own a whole bunch of new built multifamilies. That's kind of a cool idea. Owning apartment complexes and stuff like that. That's super cool too. So anyways, all that to say though, give me 1 second. I'm gonna have to pause this. Sorry about that. Had a kid calling me on the monitor, and that's just real life for you. So anyways, what I want to go with in this whole thing is, even now, like I'm trying different things. Now my thing is getting more and more dialed in. So now for me, on one side, I had the stock market algorithm. That's a very dialed in idea, exactly what we're doing, exactly who we're serving, why we're doing it, like the who, the what, the when, the where, the why, all of that's dialed in. We're moving forward on that offer. With NK Legacy Properties, we have this idea. We're going to build out multiple deal silos, but every single deal silo has a who, a what, a when, a where, a why. So even what we're working on right now, I won't go completely into it, but basically we looked at the problem we want to solve is people need affordable housing and people want to move out to the country. So how do we solve that? And so we're going out, we're doing minor developments in such a way to be able to solve that exact problem, to create that product for we have the client in mind of who's going to buy this type of property, and we know they're out there. So we already have this person in mind that we want to serve. We're creating properties for them, and then we're going to serve those properties up to them. And so that's been really powerful. So in the beginning, you might have to buy 10 bunnies. You might have to try 10 different things, right, to dial in exactly what you want to do. Now, what I would recommend against is in the very beginning saying, hey, I'm going to do, technology space, and I'm going to do real estate space, and I'm going to do, like insurance space or something like that. Probably too wide, right? But for me, it was, I'm going to go into real estate investing, and I had kind of wide stroke. I'm willing to try whatever, because I don't really know what lane I want to pick right now. So I'm gonna do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, figure out what I want, what I don't want. And then I'm not going to be afraid to ship things out, trade things out as I need, right? So I didn't really like doing flips. It worked great, made a lot of money, but I didn't enjoy it. I knew something I didn't want to do long term. So when the opportunity came, I was like, yep, I'm not going to do flips anymore. I want to try something else. And I enjoy land development quite a bit more than I did flips. And that's just me. Some people love flips. And and then when you look at the stock market algorithm, that idea was pretty dialed in from the get-go. We're doing something and we're creating this project in such a way and creating a product in such a way that no one else is really doing, because this is such a new technology. So that one was a little bit easier to define because we're not having to dig so far down to find a niche. We're able to find a niche somewhere near the surface, where it's not as deeply explored as real estate investing is. So let me scroll up here just so I make sure I cover everything. That's the 10 bunny method. I mean, that's like the purpose behind it. And I'm supposed to have well-defined steps. That's one of my things I'm supposed to have for the 10 bunny method, but I don't have them like pre-written out. But basically what I think I would say on that is, first, you just have to be okay with the fact that, you know what, you're going to have to try a whole bunch of stuff. And when you try to explain your job description to people, it's not going to make any sense, right? When me and my wife, we don't even talk about what I do anymore. People will say, what do you do? I'm like, I invest, I make money. But I can't really put a label on it much deeper than that, because it's not super dialed in. What I'm doing right now might be different in 12 months from now, as I'm continuing to try to level up my game, continuing to try to niche down and figure out exactly where I want to be. So you have to accept that up front. If you can dial in right away and know exactly what you're doing, I think that's amazing. But if you're not 100% sure, give yourself that freedom and that flexibility. Now, what I would say is pretty quickly, once you find something that's profitable, even if you don't love it, like I found the flips, pursue that to take care of yourself, to take care of your business, take care of your family, whatever you have to take care of. It's really important, right? It's going to give you that oomph, the momentum to keep going. So doing the flips, making really good money for like 2 years doing that was awesome. But then when the time came for me to be able to off ramp out of that to a better new opportunity, I took that off ramp to the new opportunity. So maybe step 2 would be find something that works and makes money and do that for a little bit, but don't get stuck there. Be ready to off ramp if you need to. Give yourself again that freedom to do so. And I think another step of this, or maybe it's just a tip in this. This is something I heard from Russell Brunson a very long time ago. He said, it was very, very early on when I started following him and his stuff. He said, and I'm paraphrasing here, this is not going to be perfect. So if Russell Brunson, you ever hear this, which you probably won't, but sorry if I butcher this. But basically, we have a learning meter in our lives. And when we're, a toddler, or maybe not toddlers, because I have toddlers, they don't have a big learning needle. When you're before a toddler and you're just trying to learn how to do everything, your learning needle is like 100%, right? Then all of a sudden you hit 2 years old and it dials way back. But then it does come back forward again after that. But kids, their learning needle typically sits somewhere around like 80%, I would say. There's some things that they have concrete in their mind, but most things they're pretty open on. Young kids, right? But the older they get, that learning needle slowly dials further and further back. And by the time they get to high school, or maybe junior high, by the time they get to junior high, they feel like they start knowing a lot. I was junior high pastor for a little bit. I understand that. I saw that. They're probably at like a 50, 45, and I'm not talking just with parents, because like with their parents, maybe they're way down here at like a 10. But overall in life, I would say between like a 40 and 50, there's still lots of things they want to learn. Then they get to high school, it dials back even a little bit further. They go to college, and as they go through college, it dials back, dials back, dials back. And for most people, once they graduate and they have that degree, their growing needle is like 5 to 10%, right? It used to be at 100. Then it slowly dialed back. Now they've graduated, they got this degree, they feel like they're somebody now, and their needle is at 5 to 10%. They no longer allowing themselves to learn new things, to take new things in, which is what allows you to grow, right? To admit that you're wrong, to admit that you've made mistakes, to admit that you're still needing to grow to be able to move forward. And so if there were a step number 3, it would probably be something along the lines of keep your growth needle as high as possible, right? And that's something for me is, whenever I wanted to create this program that trades, I created an algorithm that trades the stock market. I had to go learn. I bought this course, 100 Days of Code. I could go learn Python to code that project. But I can tell you right now with confidence that I am not even close to the best Python programmer out there. And there is so much that I have to learn. I hope I don't have to. I want to build a team to do that for me. But I know I am by no means an expert in this space, right? In real estate, I am a little fish in this big pond. I am by no means an expert in this space, right? When it comes to internet marketing and stuff, I am like a little no man inside of this really big space. I really don't know what I'm doing, and I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to consume information to learn more, to do better at what I do. But my goal is over time, and you guys hold me accountable to that as my wealthy legacy journey continues. How do I keep that growth needle up where I'm always willing to learn? I'm always willing to grow. I'm always willing to consume more new information and go, wow, maybe I was wrong about some stuff. How can I apply that to my business, to my mindset, to my thinking to just improve and level up what I'm doing right now? So I've been applying a lot of this, this week, this month is this 10 bunny method, figuring this out as we've been figuring out what kind of product do we want to create? What kind of product do we want to, handle inside of NK Legacy Properties? Who do we want to work with as we were building out Commission Finance Flipper, which is like a segment of NK Legacy Properties, where we're looking at, who do we want to partner with? Who do we want to bring on to help guide this ship, to help steer this ship? And even now, as we have a couple guys on board, they're bringing, effort to the table, and some of them are bringing amazing effort and others not as much. And we're really getting great feedback for who is it that we really want to work with. We thought we wanted to work with this kind of person, but then over time we're like, you know what? We really like, this person. That's who we want to model for who we want to work with, because we really appreciate the qualities that are coming out and how that's flourishing in our business. See, so we're willing to have these goals that in our hand, but hold them loosely enough that when things need to shift and pivot and change, that can happen. So the last thing is, I think I want to cover this. What steps did I take towards wealth building or legacy building this week? And I'll just answer both of those because I have a few minutes running the show solo today. What did I do to build wealth this week? One of the things actually that I did this week, starting last week, is I've really started leveraging recording content. And I know I record these podcasts, but for these guys in the Commission Finance Flipper, our partners that we're bringing on, instead of answering all their questions one by one, when a question comes in that I think is a fairly general question, I go, okay, you know what? I'm actually going to sit down. I'm going to jump on Zoom. I'm going to record a video around what this thing is. So I have to explain it only one time, but I can send it out an unlimited amount of times. And so in that, it's not necessarily financial wealth, but it's informational wealth. And also, every time I record a podcast, every time I record content like that and I send it out to people, it establishes me as an authority in the room. And it only helps me level up in the game that I'm wanting to achieve by becoming a figure, by becoming a somebody, right? Still with the ability to be able to learn, but to be able to make impact. The reason I want to become somebody, that people want to hear from is because I want to be able to have an impact on people. I want to be able to help people. And a lot of times people only want to listen to people that they know and they respect and they trust. And I get that because I'm the same way. So I have to think about, how do I build up that knowledge and trust and, time with people in what I'm doing. Second thing being legacy. How do I work on my legacy this week? This is actually a good one. So I had the opportunity to work tomorrow on a Saturday, and I had already planned to take my family to the Parker County Peach Festival. And I confidently, very quickly turned down the opportunity to do something that would have probably been good tomorrow because I wanted to pour into my family. Because I believe, and I know Nathan feels the same way, that our families are really probably the most important part of our legacy, right? Especially like for me, my kids, because I understand they're going to be the ones that carry on my legacy. And so for a long time in my business, I would put my family on the back burner saying, I have these goals that I have to get to. I'm going after these things for our family, but you guys are going to have to wait until I accomplish that thing. And then I'll give you my time, my energy, my attention. Over time, as I realized that this was not a sprint, but instead a marathon of being an entrepreneur, of building wealth, building a legacy, I had to step back and go, am I willing to run my family in the ground and just destroy this thing that I love, this goodness inside of my family because of my ambitions and what I want to chase after? Or am I willing to say, hey, I'm going to kick it out of fifth gear. I'm going to drop down to second or third. I'm just going to cruise because my family needs to cruise. We're still going to keep going in the direction that we need to go. But you know what? I don't have to be pedal to the metal all the time. Sometimes it's better just kick it back a few gears and go forward in a pace that's maintainable for not just me, but for my wife, trying to raise our three kids, for me getting to have time with my 4-year-old and my 2-year-old and my newborn, to be able to pour into them, be able to pour into my wife, and to be able to take time off for really the most important things. So that's the steps that I took this week. I hope that you're taking some similar steps in your business and in your journey. So what I want to leave you with, because I always ask, is there any final thoughts? This is actually the screensaver on my computer. It's on the Facebook group if you want to go get it, maybe throw it on your phone or something like that. But it's really the motto for the Wealthy Legacy journey. And it's simple. I explore the unknown. I conquer new frontiers. My journey is powerful, and my wake is a wealthy legacy. So, with that said, go out this week, explore, conquer, have a powerful journey, and ensure that the wake that you're leaving behind you isn't a wake of destruction, but a wake of fruit, of growth, and mainly a wealthy legacy. It's been great talking with you guys. Kendall here from the Wealthy Legacy Journey, and I will talk to you guys more next week.